Sairam. We'll be rolling the red carpet out here. Whoever is walking around, please ensure you don't walk on that. It's for Swami. So please keep an eye on that. I humble request.
नमो नमः। भवे भवे नाति भवे भवस्वमां भवोद्भवाय नमः। ॐ श्रेष्ठाय नमः श्रेष्ठाय नमो रुद्राय नमः कालाय नमः कलविकरणाय नमो बलविकरणाय नमो बलाय नमो बलप्रमदनाय नमः सर्वभूतदमनाय नमो मनोन्मनाय नमः। अघोरेभ्यो तघोरेभ्यो घोरघोरतरेभ्यः सर्वेभ्यः सर्वशर्वेभ्यो नमस्ते अस्तु रुद्ररूपेभ्यः। तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे महादेवाय धीमहि तन्नो रुद्रः प्रचोदयात्। ईशानः सर्वविद्यानाम् ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां ब्रह्माधिपतिर्ब्रह्मणोऽधिपतिर्ब्रह्मा शिवो मे अस्तु सदाशिवो। नमो हिरण्यबाहवे हिरण्यवर्णाय हिरण्यरूपाय हिरण्यपतये अम्बिकापतये उमापतये पशुपतये नमो नमः। ऋतगुं सत्यं परं ब्रह्म पुरुषं कृष्णपिङ्गलम् ऊर्ध्वरेतं विरूपाक्षं विश्वरूपाय वै नमो नमः। सर्वो वै रुद्रस्तस्मै रुद्राय नमो अस्तु। पुरुषो वै रुद्रस्तन्महो नमो नमः। विश्वं भूतं भुवनं चित्रं बहुधा जातं जायमानं च यत् सर्वो हेश रुद्रस्तस्मै रुद्राय नमो अस्तु। तद्रुद्राय प्रचेतसे मेनुष्टमाय कव्यसे भोज्येम शङ्कमगुंहृदे सर्वो हेश रुद्रस्तस्मै रुद्राय नमो अस्तु। शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। यो मां पुष्पं वेद पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् पशुमान् भवति। चन्द्रमा वा अपां पुष्पं पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् पशुमान् भवति। य एवं वेद यो वामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति। अग्निर्वा अपामायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति। योऽग्नेरायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति। आपो अग्नेरायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति। य एवं वेद योपामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति। वायुर्वा अपामायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति। यो वायोरायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति। आपो वै वायोरायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति। य एवं वेद योपामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति। असो वै तपन्तपामायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति। यो मुष्यतपत आयतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति। आपो वा अमुष्यतपत आयतनम् आयतनवान् भवति। य एवं वेद योपामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति। चन्द्रमा वा अपामायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति। यश्चन्द्रमस आयतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति।
Om Sri Sai Ram. My most loving and humble pranams to the divine lotus feet of our beloved Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Om Sri Sai Sarva Hrudvasine Namaha. My humble pranams to the Sai residing in each one of your hearts. Sai Ram. I think Swami says enthusiasm is a prerequisite for spirituality. Sai Ram. Respect. On behalf of the officers and Metro, I welcome all of you for our beloved Bhagavan's centenary birthday celebrations. We extend our special welcome to our guest speaker, Dr. Suresh Mohan. So it was 100 years ago, compassionate Lord took the form of a human form as Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba to lead us on the path of truth and righteousness, illuminated with love, and to enlighten the divine spark within each one of us. Indeed, it's a rare privilege and a profound blessing to all of us to share this moment in history, to be contemporaries of the avatar of the Kali Yuga, to know about him, to learn and follow his teachings, and to experience the nectar of his divine love. On 23rd November 1968, as a part of his divine discourse, after hoisting the flag on the Prashant Nilayam Mandir, Swami said, start quote, "The flag is a sign that is significant for each one of you. It is a reminder of your duty to yourself, so when I hoist it on this building, you must unfurl it on your own hearts. It reminds you to overcome the urge of low desires of hate and anger, and when your desires are thwarted, it exhorts you to expand your heart so that you embrace all humanity, all life and all creation. It directs you to quieten your impulses and calmly meditate on your own inner reality. It assures you that lotus of your heart will bloom, and from the center will arise the flame of divine vision that grants infinite supreme, which is Prashanti. Practice the three disciplines of silence, cleanliness and forbearance, because in silence you can hear the voice of God, through cleanliness you earn purity, and by forbearance you cultivate love." End quote. On the special occasion of Swami's 100th birthday, let's all resolve to offer the gift that he cherishes the most. What should be the gift that we can give to the God? In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said, God is pleased and accepts even a simple thing like a flower, a fruit, or a leaf, or even water when offered with love and devotion. Our Swami expanded this message by telling us the flower that we should offer is nothing but a pure heart. The fruit that we should offer is the fruit of our good actions. And the water that we should offer is the blissful tears of devotion that flow when we yearn intensely for God. And the leaf that we should offer to the God is nothing but body utilized in selfless service. As Swami has stated as one of his mission objectives as Vedodharana, and our Detroit Center is so blessed and fortunate to start every program with Veda chanting. And just now we listened to our own SSC Veda children start the program with excellent Veda chanting. Let's give them a big round of applause. And let us also appreciate the Veda teachers for all their loving and dedicated services in training these children. So for Swami's centenary birthday celebrations, we have a very special day here. All our SSC teachers, budget teachers and children have put together wonderful presentations, and also our BIAs, in spite of their busy schedules, they also put together a wonderful presentation. And we are very fortunate to have with us Dr. Suresh Mohan, who is an SSC alumni from our own center. He was sitting like you few years back, and today he came back to share his experiences. So with that, my earnest prayers to our beloved Bhagavan to bless us with his presence and to shower His divine blessings and grace on all of us on this auspicious occasion. Jai Sai Ram.
There's nothing that you cannot achieve in this world without love. So, you can accomplish anything through love. So, three is run away from bad company. It's not enough if you are away from the bad company. You should be in good company. Do meritorious deeds day in and day out. Man is born for that. Human life is not to spend time for food, raiment and shelter. This eating and drinking is equally done by animals. Human is noble, sacred, and he is one of truth. He has got good feelings. Such a man should not have such mean thoughts. One should be away from that wicked thoughts and feelings. Then everyone would be divine. Divinity manifests everybody.
కనుక ఆ దైవత్వాన్ని ప్రకటించేటువంటి మార్గాన్ని మీరు వెతుక్కొని దాన్ని ప్రకటించుకొని ఆయన ప్రచారం చేసి మీరు కూడా ఆనందించండి.
Let us be in search of that process which would help for the manifestation of the divinity within and share this with the rest of the people in the neighborhood.
ఈ రాక్షస కృత్యాలకు ప్రవేశమివ్వకూడదు.
Let there not be any wicked activity, cruel activity in us.
కనుకనే సద్భావాన్ని పెంచుకోండి.
Cultivate good feelings.
సత్ప్రవర్తనను ఉంచుకోండి.
Develop good
ఎవరికి
conduct.
ఏం చెప్పినా కానీ మీరు వినాలి.
You should lead your life with
పవిత్రమైన
purpose.
జీవితాన్ని మీరు ప్రపంచానికి కూడా చాటాలి.
And you should share your sacred life with everybody.
ఎవరి దగ్గరికి పోయినప్పుడు కూడా ఏమనుకుంటారో అని మీరేం భయపడకండి.
Don't go by the consideration what would others think of you.
పోనీ అందరి దగ్గర గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ గుడ్ నైట్ అని చెప్పి అనుకుంటారు.
We go on saying good morning, good night to
ఈ
everybody.
గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ గుడ్ నైట్ అనేది మంది కాదేది.
This good morning, good night is not ours, truly.
నమస్కారం అండి అనండి ఎంత ఆనందం అవుతుంది.
Say namaskar, you will be very blissful.
ఆ నమస్కారం చెప్పడం కూడా ఈనాడు చాలా బరువైపోయింది.
And today we don't feel like doing namaskar.
పిల్లలు ఈనాడు వల్ల నుంచి కూడా తల్లిదండ్రులు గౌరవించండి.
From this day all students should love their parents, respect them.
తల్లిదండ్రులు ప్రేమించండి.
You love them
తల్లిదండ్రుల ప్రేమకు గురికండి.
and you be the recipients of their love.
తల్లిదండ్రుల ప్రేమను అనుభవించినటువంటి వ్యక్తికి భవిష్యత్తు లోపల చక్కని పవిత్రత ఉంటుంటారు.
And if you really enjoy the love of your parents, your life is going to be sacred.
తల్లి యొక్క ఆశీర్వాదము అత్యవసరము.
And the blessing of the mother is
తల్లిదండ్రులు
essential.
ఎంత బాధపడతారో ఆ పిల్లలు కూడా జీవితానికి అంత బాధకరంగా ఉంటాయి.
If your parents suffer, you are going to suffer in future.
కానీ నీ తల్లిదండ్రులకు ఏమాత్రం కూడా బాధ పెట్టగలి.
Never make your parents suffer.
వాడిని ఆనంద పెట్టి
You make them
మీరు కూడా
happy.
ఆనందపడినప్పుడే మీ పిల్లలు తిరిగి మీకు ఆనందాన్ని అందిస్తారు.
When you make them happy, and when you are happy in turn, your children will make you happy.
కనుక మీరు ఒక ఆనందాన్ని అందించి ఆనందాన్ని తిరిగి పుచ్చుకోండి.
Therefore, share this happiness with everybody and receive
కేవలం
happiness.
ఇచ్చుకోవడం మాత్రమే కాదు, పుచ్చుకోవడం కూడా జరగాలి.
Not simply giving, you should also
This is not
receive.
one way traffic, give and take, give and take.
It's not one-way traffic, it's two-way traffic by channel, give and take.
కనుక నీ జీవితాన్ని సార్థకంగా ఉంచుకోవడానికి మంచి మాటలు మాట్లాడండి.
And speak well so as to redeem your lives.
మంచి చూపులు చూడండి.
Have good looks.
మంచి పవిత్రమైన విషయాలు వినండి.
Listen to sacred
పవిత్రమైన
things.
జీవితాన్ని గడపండి.
Lead a sacred life.
Thank you, Swami, for the wonderful message. So now I would like to introduce our MC for today's program, our Group 4 seniors, Hasini, Tigala and Mayuri. Please join me in welcoming Hasini and Mayuri.
We offer our most we offer our most humble and loving pranams at the divine lotus feet of our dear Swami. Saram everyone, I'm Hasni.
And I'm Mayuri. We will be your MCs for today.
And thank you, Uncle, for that warm welcome. And what a wonderful message from Swami. How many of you saw the 5 human value posters in the hallway outside? Yeah, great. So love is truly the thread that ties us all together. What a wonderful message from Swami.
Now, before we get into our program, here are some of the house rules. As Swami's children, let us be on our best behavior on this day and follow all these house rules. We kindly request that all SSC children remain seated with their respective teachers during the skit and guest speaker session. Teachers will guide the children backstage when it's their time for presentation. We also request all parents should avoid distracting the children on stage or blocking other people's view.
And please remember to save your applause to the end of each SSC group. Oh, there's my phone. Please remember to have your phone silenced and muted to be respectful for the teachers and the students who have worked so hard for this beautiful program for Swami. If you have to leave the hall, please do so without making any distractions.
Now I have a question for all of you. And let's see if the SSC kids can answer or if the adults can answer this. Who can tell me Hartford is the capital of which state? Yes, it is Connecticut. And now, coming all the way from Connecticut is Dr. Suresh Mohanunko, an SSC alumni. Now I will invite our center president, Narajan.
Loving Sairam, everyone. I think most of them know the family name Manikam, who comes up with a bundle of energy, right? And from that same family, there's this kid who came up. And why is he today? I mean, Dr. Suresh Mohan is just not a doctor. He is an epitome of service. And going a little into his bio, he is an assistant professor at Yale currently, specializing in facial, plastic and reconstructive surgery. In addition, he serves as a volunteer faculty at Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences, where he actually tried getting into the college for a very, very long time, and Swami had completely different plans for Suresh. And he has been involved in international medical services, works in Haiti, India, and most recently Ukraine, and we all know how Ukraine is currently. With nearly 3 decades of connection to Swami's mission, Dr. Mohan and his family remains actively engaged with Sai community. He has directed plays and films as part of Sai Young Adults and is a bhajan, he loves bhajans. He grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, did his training in Boston, and currently resides in Connecticut. I know one of the kids already answered it, with his wife Rasika and their 2 children, Lalita and Shashank. Now, without further ado, I would like to call Dr. Suresh Mohan onto the stage.
Everyone able to hear me? Yes. Increase the volume. Better now. Okay. Okay. Saram, everybody. My humble pranams at Swami's feet, and I can't tell you the excitement, joy, and enthusiasm with which I've been looking forward to this day. When Narasimhan Uncle called me this summer and asked me to be here for this event, I remember thinking he's got the wrong guy. They want like a real speaker, someone with like life experience, and I quickly realized that Swami calls, and when Swami calls, you don't really have a choice. And so, of course, I did accept, and very honored and privileged to be here with you all today. And it's a great homecoming. Really, it's amazing to see how much the center has grown, and still to see some of the role models that I've looked up to still here running the show and keeping everything going. So when I was thinking about the occasion of today, what a momentous time. 100 years of our dear Swami, and we have the opportunity to actually be here to celebrate and live his message. So I was thinking, okay, it's somebody's birthday. Let's hear from the SCC students. If it's their birthday, what do you do? Yes?
Usually I have a giant cake.
Giant cake, okay. All right, that's a good one. Anyone else? Yes? Yeah? You sing happy birthday. Okay, I think both of those things are going to be done today. Okay, or tomorrow. Yep. You invite friends. We did that. Okay. One more thing I'm looking for. What else do you do when you go to someone's birthday party? Yes. You take a card. Okay. We're getting close. Anything else? Yeah. You bring a gift. Okay, exactly. So, you bring a gift when you celebrate someone's birthday. We're here today celebrating Swami's birthday. So what gift are we giving to Swami? Right? What gift can we give? These are rhetorical questions, but thank you. What gift can you give somebody who's given you so much, who's given you your whole life, every step of the way? And when I thought of that, the only thing I could think of that would be suitable for the Lord of the universe is our faith. Our faith is the only way we can show our gratitude to Bhagavan for everything he's done for us. And so as I thought about that, I was reflecting on what are moments in my life where he has shown me that faith is all that he wants from us. So I'll start kind of from my story. So my family came to Swami about 30 years ago. In 1996, when we first moved to the United States, and we used to go to a lot of temples. Muruga Temple on Friday, Lakshmi Temple on Sunday, and we got here to move to Columbia, Missouri, and there were no temples nearby for 2 hours. And so we heard that there were some Sathya Sai Baba bhajans that were happening at someone's basement. And so we began to go there on Thursday nights. Of course, I was 7 years old at the time, and all I could tell was we were going somewhere where there was a picture of a guy with a big afro on stage, and I didn't really understand why we went. I didn't really connect to what we were doing there. I did used to enjoy the songs, so sometimes I would join along there, and that was kind of the introduction. As the years went by, I slowly saw my parents begin to buy in more and more to the center, into Sathya Sai's teachings. And even though they were really into it, of course, anything your parents are into, you are by definition not into, right, as a child. And so for me and my brother, it was a bit of a, okay, we're doing it because the parents are doing it. And with time, we realized, we saw struggles come up in the family. Financial struggles, job struggles, family struggles in India, not being able to connect. But throughout each one of these challenges, the rhetoric from the parents was always, Swami is there for us, he will take care of us, we will be okay. And of course, these things that you hear as a child might seem trivial or just said in passing, but eventually what they say is what stays in your mind. And so when my father lost his job and we had to move, or we didn't have enough money to go to India when a grandparent passed away, these were struggles, but I saw my parents go through it and pull the family together and say, it's okay, Swami will take care of us and we will get through this. So I'm very grateful to my parents for at such a young age instilling that sense of faith within me and my brother. And I can't say enough for them being the examples of faith for us at such a young stage. I wish they were here today, but I think they're having a great time in Puttaparthi with Swami right now. As time went on, we moved, and suddenly we were in Kansas for a while, and there was no center there, so what did we do? We started the center at home. Started having bhajans, people starting to come over on Thursdays. By this point, we enjoyed singing bhajans at least, so that was one part of it. But of course, you're still young. We're 8, 9, 10 years old, still somewhat engaged, but not completely involved. Fast forward to 2001, my dad gets a job at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. So we moved to Michigan. And I remember the first day we came to Sathya Sai Center, someone asked me, are you 12 or are you 13? Like, how old are you? And I was 12 at the time, and I told them 12. But then I said, then they said, okay, then you have to go to Group 2 SSE. But then I was like, but my birthday's in 2 weeks. And they were like, okay, fine, you can go to Group 3. And I remember I was so excited about being upgraded with, such a short, a short time frame. But coming to the center here, the biggest turning point was seeing other children my age involved and dedicated to the mission, right? It wasn't just coming because my parents are coming, it was seeing other young people believing in Swami, singing the bhajans, doing the meditation. And that was a turning point for me in my mind that, perhaps I can have a personal connection with God. It's not just about going because my parents are. And I have to give it to my parents, even though we lived in Ann Arbor, we made it a point. Every Sunday, they would drag us the 45 minutes from Ann Arbor out here to make sure we were here in time for SSE. And I was very grateful. My SSE class was so much fun. It was the highlight of the week. I remember my classmates, Asha, Ahimsa, Akhil, Samir, Inakshi, Shiv. These were friends that we just loved coming to see every week. And of course, our teachers were a big part of it. So one of my teachers was Mark Bayless' uncle. And Mark's uncle just had this very soft demeanor. With everything he said, you have to be really close to actually be able to hear what he would say. And one day, he came into the SSE classroom and he brought a bag. And inside the bag were several rolls of photos. And so each of them was like a photo probably this big. And he said, Swami has placed a photo for each of you in this bag. And so I'm going to come around the classroom, each of you is going to grab a photo. And that photo is meant specifically for you. And so he went around, and my turn came, and I reached in and I pulled out a photo. And this was the photo that I drew from the bag. So as everyone knows, this is the story of Gajendra. Gajendra was the king of the elephant kingdom, the king of the jungle, very well respected throughout the land. One day when he's leading, but he did, he was in power. He had an ego. He was a big king. He's walking through the jungle and crossing a river when at one point he gets attacked by a crocodile. The crocodile grabs his leg, and the two of them struggle. They struggle and struggle. The king, in all his power, knows he can get out of this struggle without a problem. But it's said that this struggle went on for years. They struggle and struggle and struggle until at one point the king, Gajendra, realizes that he's unable to release himself from the clutches of the crocodile. And so it's at that moment that he reaches up to God and he says, Vishnu, please save me. I need your help. And he places his faith in God. And the moment he does that, Vishnu comes down to save his devotee. So of course, I'm like reading about this story and I'm thinking, okay, how's this relevant to me? I have lots of faith. You know, I don't really get into, you know, this kind of trouble. I think I'm going to be fine. So little did I know what significance this photo would have for me later in life. I'll come back to that, but I want to spend a couple of moments talking about how beyond SSE class, it was the center at large that became a large, a big community and a big home for my brother and I. And so I can't move on without speaking about my other main SSE teacher, Ashok Uncle. As we all know, Ashok Uncle was a taskmaster. He was very strict about how class was run, what time you showed up, behavior in class, assignments for class. I was honestly a little scared of him, to be honest. But in a good way, because he always had this ability to make you laugh, no matter what. I remember we had sessions on public speaking, and I remember thinking, what does public speaking have to do with SSE? Like, why are we talking about this? Here we are. Here we are today, right? And another time, I remember, so I was very involved with theater in high school. And one time, I had a rehearsal on a Sunday, so I had to miss SSE class. And that evening, we got a phone call, and it was Ashok Uncle. He was calling to say, where was Suresh in class today? You know, I didn't see him. And he was very upset. And my parents were like, really sorry, you know, that we should have brought him, blah, blah, blah. And so, of course, I heard it from the parents after. And I remember thinking, like, why is this such a big deal? You know, it's like, it's just SSE. Like, why is this such a big deal? But later on, I realized that it was because of how much he cared. That was why the success of the program endured, right? And so it's because you have teachers that care so immensely about every student in their classes that we as students are able to meet them there in terms of that importance. And with time, I came to realize how those small, taking those small things seriously is how over time you develop discipline and you develop value for something like the SSE class and how important it is for building that character foundation. So Ashok Uncle, I wish you were here today. I hope my public speaking skills have developed from where they were. But I think you know. A couple of other very special people in the center that I want to mention. My grandma, my great-grandma was staying with us during the early 2000s, and at one point she had a medical emergency and had to be taken to the hospital. And my parents were at the hospital, and so we were home alone, and I remember Hari and Jivam Uncle had come home to help us, be home with us while the parents were at the hospital. And I remember we were so upset because my mom was obviously very upset, and my dad was trying to do her best to console her. We didn't know if my grandma was going to make it or not. And Hari Uncle at that time had this, just his usual utterly calm demeanor. And there was just something so calming about his presence at home. And I remember Lata had made food and sent, and he brought it over, and he was trying to encourage us to eat, and I was like, I don't want to eat, this is me, brat, 15-year-old. And he was just calm, and he said, okay, Mangal, when you're ready, you can have something. And that episode stayed with me because it reminded me of display when it counts in that moment. And since that moment, Hari Uncle not only has been a professional mentor, but also someone I look up to in terms of that equanimity. You heard Narendra Uncle say that I'm a bhajan aficionado, and really it began with one of our earliest bhajan teachers at the center, and that was Purimati. So I remember, not only was I enamored by the harmonium, and actually I started learning harmonium after watching her, but we were in class, SSC class once, and we were learning this bhajan, Nanda ke Dulare, Yashoda ke Pyare. And so we were saying, Murari Manohar, Shama Murari. And she said, if you call like that, then Krishna's not going to come. You have to beg and plead, and only if you plead will Krishna come. And so she says, Murari Manohar, Shama Murari. And such a small moment, but I remember something clicked for me in that moment, that music is a pathway to God. Music is a way to show your faith and experience faith. And that has stayed with me, and for my love of music and everything that's developed, making sure that the faith is the basis of your music was such an important lesson in that small moment. I could go all day, but I'll finish with dear Lata Auntie. So, I can't begin to say the number of things that Lata Auntie and Hari have done for us, but when I was a medical student, I spent a whole month with them in their house, and basically they took care of me like their own child. They gave me a car. She would get up and pack me lunch. She would make me breakfast every morning. It was just above and beyond anything that she needed to do. And it may have been a small thing for her, but I'll never forget that month. It was extremely, I just felt so loved. And I think that's what's special about this community, that there's people like that here. Yes, please. So anyway, this is the beautiful community that we're growing up in, right? And so slowly, as we get more and more involved with the center, we start learning more about Swami's mission, his educational mission. We start meeting some of the Swami students, and there was a program they came by. I remember it was, for some reason, it was like November 4th program. I remember it was a students program in like 2000. It must have been 3 maybe, 2003 or 2 or something. And when the students came, they put on this spectacular program, just incredible program, high quality music, beautifully narrated, etc. And then you hear them speak, and you're just amazed. These are the products of Swami. And so, of course, my brother and I caught the bug, and we said, wow, what would it be like to study in Swami's school in India? And for those of you who've heard this story, my apologies, but bear with me. And so we started learning more and more about what would it take to go and study in Puttaparthi in Swami school. So it turns out they would either accept students in the 1st standard or in the 11th. And so both of us were in high school, so we said, okay, the 11th standard might work. So my brother sent in an application to the school, and we waited, and he actually got invited to go to India to interview. So this is the spring of 2003, and so he leaves school and goes for a month to India. And so there he meets with all the teachers, and they do some interviews, and they have him write the entrance exam. He goes through all that process. Things are going great. It's looking really positive. And then it's the day of the final list. He's passed the entrance exam, did very well. They loved his English speaking, of course. And on the final list, his name is not there, for whatever reason. So of course he was dejected, came back to the United States. And for anybody who has an older sibling, you know that your only goal in life is to beat your older siblings at everything. Okay? So of course, the next year it's my turn. And so I decided that I'm also going to throw my name in the hat and run a line. So fast forward a year, and I submit my application. I'm like, okay, it's gonna happen. Like I'm gonna do this time. Flat out rejection. They don't even invite for an interview. So I'm heartbroken, and I can't believe this has happened. I've set in my head that this is the goal that I want. And so we did some inquiry to figure out why did they take the application, what happened, and they said, oh, it's because American students don't have the discipline that Indian students are raised with. That's why. You need to have Indian residency to apply for Swami school. So I said, okay, fine, I'll go to India and do a year there, and then I'll apply again. And then they can't reject me because I'll be an Indian resident. So I was willing to basically repeat 11th grade twice to be able to try to get in. So of course, you know, in my infinite wisdom at the age of 14, I came to my parents and told them, this is the plan, here's what I'm going to do. So of course, they're first like, just sumo, to like relax, it's going to be okay. And, but I was very persistent, and I kept telling them this is what I want to do. And to my parents' credit, they eventually agreed. They said, fine, we'll go, we'll try, and we'll find another school for you to study in, and then you can try again next year. So this is like May, and as you know, the school year starts in June in India. And so you know, 2 weeks later, my mom and I are on a plane to India, and when we get there, every school is full. They're like, thank you so much, we don't have any spots. You know, we're full. We try in 3 different cities, in Chennai, in Bangalore, and nothing has any spots. Until finally, we get to this school in Bangalore, right? Really small school, nothing fancy, but we walk into the office of the principal and there's a big Swami picture. And we're like, okay, this is a good sign, we're gonna do this. And we talked to the founder and he said, okay, school starts next week, and you have to live in the hostel, but if you're willing to do that, then you can join. So we said yes, and I remember the fees for an entire year at the time were like, it was like 37,000 rupees or something for a hostel stay and for education and everything. And back then that was a lot of money. Today it would probably buy you like, maybe like a new pair of shoes or something. But so I eventually got set up in the hostel, and I started going to school just as part of the day scholars, the hostel boys. Most of the hostel boys are from the village, so most of them don't speak English. I don't speak Kannada. You know, I speak Tamil, but nobody really, spoke very good Tamil there. But it was a eye-opening experience to go from an American life to suddenly being in a small hostel in South India with a bunch of kids from the village. So I quickly picked up a couple things. First of all, how to scold people in Kannada. That was the first thing I learned. And then the other things I learned were that I came in with this view that the entire world believed in Swami and Sai Baba was God, and I quickly realized that was not the case. That's not what I encountered. In fact, the majority of the people I taught, everyone thought I was a fool for leaving an American world-class education and coming to this small school in India. And so there were moments I remember where the local newspapers would publish bad things about Swami in the newspapers, and these boys would bring in these newspapers and be like, look at this USA, he came here, left everything and came for this guy. And it was just humiliating because they would basically make fun of me and tease me for making such a mistake. And I always thought I held Swami close, and that was the reason I came, but those were some really trying moments for me where I started questioning, like, did I make a mistake? Like, is this just a facade? Is the whole thing just a sham? But what I did was every time we had a holiday, I would just take a bus from Bangalore to Puttaparthi and just go and be there, be in Puttaparthi, because I felt like at least that was like my grounding force. So like this, the course of the year goes by, and finally May comes along the next time. It's time to apply again. So I fill out the application, everything, and I'm feeling really good. Okay, I put in the extra year of commitment. They can't turn me down. So they send their application. couple months later, my relative called me and said, hey, there's something in the mail here for you. So we take the bus from the hospital, go to my relative's place. And we get there, and they just casually drop this card in front of me and say, you got something. And it's from the Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. Turn it over, rejected again. And at that point, I lose it. I mean, this is 1 year of my life. I, struggled in the hospital, got sick, got all kinds of infections and diseases, things that my body just wasn't used to. All in the name of Swami, I want you, I want to be in your school. So back then, they had STD, ISD booths, right? And so I ran to outside to the nearest ISD booth, and I called my parents and broke down and basically said, what do I do now? What do I do now? At the time, my visa, we were flying for green cards. My visa was in kind of in a tenuous state, so I didn't even know if I could come back to the United States. And so they said, okay, let's think about what to do. Maybe you just go to Puttaparthi physically and just go ask Swami himself. I mean, what other choice do you have at this point? And so that's what I did. So I literally, from the ISD booth, I took my bag, just the bag I had brought home for the weekend, which had nothing but an extra shirt and one extra pair of pants, and I just went straight to the bus station and got on a bus to Puttaparthi. The problem was, again, lots of wisdom at that age, didn't plan for a week-long stay, didn't take enough cash, didn't take enough clothes, anything like that. I'm just very bare boned in going. So I got there, I checked into the shed. They used to have the sheds kind of on the other side of the end block in the back. And so I am sleeping on the stone floors. They have some cardboard you can use to use as a mattress. And because I didn't bring enough clothes, I didn't have enough cash, I had to wash my own clothes every evening so that I had something else to wear for the next morning. Very humbling moments, but so, got some 5 rupee soap from the store and washing your own clothes. And you basically would wake up at 3 a.m. every day so that you get the first token in line, so you have the best shot at getting the first row in the darshan lines. And so this went down for 3 or 4 days, but every day Swami would come in darshan, and he would look, and he'd kind of ignore me and keep going. And I'm holding up my application that hopefully Swami would take it. But then some days would come and he'd make his characteristic expression. He'd go like that, or some days he was lost in thought. And so it just wasn't working. So I called our family friend and I said, hey, look, I'm getting nothing. What else should I do? What else can I do? So he said, okay, why don't you go and talk to the headmaster of the school? Maybe you can plead your case and see what they say. So they say come on Monday mornings at 10 a.m. So I'm nervous all weekend about this meeting. How is this going to go? What am I going to say to this man? And so we get Monday morning rolls around. I get there sharp at 10. And of course, he arrives right on time at about 11:30. And he comes in and he's surrounded by 5 or 6 colleagues, people. And so eventually I was able to kind of get his attention. I said, sir, this is my story. I'm here for nothing else but Swami. Please reconsider my application. I'll do anything. And quickly he was like, a rejection is a rejection. Sorry. And I said, sir, I will fall at your feet, whatever it takes. Please understand, I have nothing to lose. This is the only thing that I want. And he said, either you get out or I'll have the guards take you out. So at that point, I knew that it was the end of the road. And so I walked all the way back to Parthi, and eventually I made my way back to the United States. It was an extremely crushing blow to my self-esteem at the time, because I had told everybody I was maybe never coming back. And this was the end of me being in the United States, and very humbling. And so I think it rocked my faith a little bit in Swami, and I didn't understand, like, Swami, I've done this much, like, you still don't want me, like, what is wrong with me? Like, what is it that I have not done? So get back into regular life and finish high school, and so then I decided, okay, well, if I can't get Swami school, I'm going to Stanford, or I'm going to Harvard for college. So I'm working really hard senior year, catching up on all the classes I missed for a year, et cetera, et cetera. Applied early decision to Stanford, rejected. Oh man, okay, all right. So what else? Harvard, rejected again. I'm like, okay, I'll go anywhere but not University of Michigan. Where do I end up going? University of Michigan. Why? Because my brother did it, so of course I couldn't do the same thing. So ended up at Michigan, and life goes on. But at that point, we were getting more involved with the young adults here at the center. Namely, one of my biggest role models here at the center was none other than Sandeep Pasrija. And so Sandeep and Anil Bhatt and Murli Kajay all decided, hey, we should take a group trip as part of the upcoming World Youth Conference. So there's a World Youth Conference in 2007 in Puttaparthi, and so they decided, why don't we take a group of the young adults from the United States there? So this was an idea that was born out in 2006, and so everyone starts planning. We started planning, putting together music programs. We started doing like Veda chanting training, and we're taking this very seriously because it's coming in July. So starting in like January, we're practicing. Probably like just like the students have practiced for today's program for last year. And as things are going, there's this idea that, so my brother and I had learned some Bharatanatyam as part of growing up, and so they were like, oh, what if we had a dance as part of the program? And so we were practicing this dance as part of that, and so all these preparations are going, and just finally time comes for July, where we all go. So everyone gets on a plane, we get to Parthi, we're all there together, everyone's rah, excited, like, you know, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. So the conference is on August, like the end of July, July 30th, 31st. So it's like July 28th, 29th. We get there, and then we get some news that there's no confirmation of our program. They're like, we don't have you on our schedule. I'm not sure how you guys thought you were getting in. You need to go through the proper channels. You didn't do that, so we can't do it. Everyone is just devastated, right? I mean, we've spent months and months working for this, and to be told that all your efforts are in vain. So by that, you know, so then there's a lull in enthusiasm, right? Everyone morale is low. Everyone is tired, and of course, you go to Puttaparthi, people are going to start getting sick, right? So the people are getting sick, and this and that, and so morale is low. But my brother and I, for the dance, we had our kurtas, but we didn't have these chunnis that we needed to tie around our waist for the dance. And so there was a day where they canceled rehearsal, and they said, everyone just take a break, relax. This is on July 30th. And so we decided, okay, let's go out into the town. We'll go see if we can bargain some chunnis. And so I find a store. Of course, I had spent a year in India, right? So I was pretty much a commoner, like a local person. And so I wanted to show off to my brother my bargaining skills. And so we walked into some store, and we're looking at 2 chunnis, and I was like, okay, sir, how much for that? And he's like, 700. And I was like, no, 200. And then he like laughed, and he's like, you can go, no problem. And so then yeah, I was like, okay, what's your best price? And he's like 500, 300. And then he's like getting tired of this. He's like, okay, brother, like whatever, you give what you can give, and you can go. He's like, final price 400. I said 385. For no reason other than to like show off. And of course, then I reached into my pocket and I realized I forgot my wallet. So it's like utter humiliation about to happen. So I'm like, Swami, please save me, like help me somehow. So I'm reaching in and, you know, finding things from here and there. And so I would pull out 100, another 100 from here. And then I look over at my brother and he like didn't bring anything at all. So then I'm like pulling stuff. Somehow I get to 350 and then I find a 20 somewhere. And so we're at like 380 and I'm like, I can't go back in the store without all the money. Like all my dignity will be gone. Dignity is a big thing in India. So I finally, from somewhere, I reach in my pocket and I find a 5 rupee coin. So 385, I give it to him and I'm like so glad that I saved my dignity and walk out. Little did I realize in that moment that that was actually a miracle. Like what are the chances that that was exactly the amount of money that I had, and Swami basically made sure that I was getting that chunni at that moment because he wanted that to happen. The next day rolls around, morale is still low, and then our team leaders, they ask the group, they say, who's at 100% right now? There's like 1 or 2 people in Tukarlits who raise their hand. Everyone else is like, just, you know, really tired. They said, who would be at 100% if Swami approved our program tomorrow? Of course, everyone's hand goes up. The next morning, we are sitting in darshan, and suddenly there's a phone call to Murli Kaji. So Murli gets called up to Radharani, and he says, Murli turns to us and he says, instruments. So everyone gets up and everyone races from Kulwant Hall all the way back because basically we've gotten permission to do our program that afternoon. And so everyone's running back or grabbing all the instruments, grabbing everybody, getting the sick people out of their rooms and, you know, getting them up and going. And so finally we get settled that afternoon. And Swami had been coming in like the van, but that day he happened to come in a wheelchair, so much better visibility in darshans. And he came, he sat, he listened to our program, and what had been happening is he'd been cutting all the other programs short by like after 2 or 3 songs. So everyone was very nervous. We were like stacking the front of our program with our best work to like be like, Swami, please stay. Like we have good content. And so as soon as, but I think the dance was like number 4. So we get through the first couple songs, and then everyone's like holding their breath, and then you know, Sandeep's like, go, go, go. And so Anna and I went up the veranda and you know, fell at Swami's feet, and then we performed the dance, and this was a moment that I will never forget in my whole life. You know, you're supposed to, you know, we're holding a pose where you're supposed to be on your toes, and you're looking at the, you know, the master of the universe as you're doing this. And I felt myself kind of like sinking down, and I was like, some spiritual experience is happening right now, and I don't know what it is, but it was just an incredibly powerful, surreal experience. And afterwards, Swami blessed us with so this was us holding this pose here. And you can see all the joy in all of our group's faces, being able to watch Swami's reaction. And afterwards, he called us up and blessed us with a chain and a ring and all these things. It just felt like, it felt, I remember, surreal. I couldn't imagine, couldn't believe that these things were happening. But you know, in retrospect, I think with the lesson from this was not, oh, congrats, you did a good job. It was, with great power comes great responsibility. I have things I need you to do for me, so, you know, get ready, was basically the message and lesson that we took away from this. Once the program was over, he not only did he stay for our entire program, he was gracious enough to let us sing bhajans after. And so our whole group stayed and we got to sing bhajans. It was the most fulfilling experience we could have asked for, above and beyond what we all prayed for. So it might be hard to see some of these photos, but this is the gang after the program. So we're all got into a room, and you know, everyone, the energy just out of control. Everyone just so pumped up from you know, so much love and attention from Swami. And so you can see in the upper corner, you can see Sudhir, you can see Sai Kanjivaram, see Tejas there, Sai Chodavarpu. So really fun gang, really incredible. Vijay Ndoromaju there. But you know, this was a obviously a faith boost, right? To go from kind of the low points of that rejection story to suddenly getting all this attention and love from Swami as a group was certainly a faith booster in saying, okay, Swami still is paying attention to me. He understands, what I'm going through. There's always a small thing in the back of my mind, but that was like, okay, well, you're doing all this, Swami. Why didn't you take me? Why didn't you make me useful to you as your student? So I'll pivot here. So a couple of years later, we go through college, and I remember this story. So during college, I decided I'm going to become a doctor, follow in my brother's footsteps, of course. And we get to the point where we're applying for medical schools, and so if you remember this story, right before the Kurukshetra war, Duryodhana and Arjuna go to Krishna to seek his blessings, basically. And so Duryodhana sits at Krishna's side, and Arjuna stands reverently at his feet. And when Krishna wakes up, he sees Arjuna first. And so he says to Arjuna, what would you like? He often says, either you can have my entire army, 1 million soldiers that I have in my army, have me, but I will not fight. And of course, Arjuna, as we know, chooses Krishna himself. Versus Duryodhana looks at Arjuna as, you fool, I will take the 1 million soldiers so that I can. And so a similar scenario arises where I'm applying to medical school, and I have a couple of options coming up, and then I get this another offer from the East Coast. And I'm a Midwest guy at heart. I was like, I'm all ready to go somewhere in the Midwest, but then this East Coast option looks kind of attractive. And so I was praying to Swami, saying, Swami, which school should I go to? Like, give me some sign. I just need some guidance about which school to choose. And at that time, I received a letter in the mail. And so I came home from classes, and there's a letter in the mail. And on the mail, it's unmarked. It doesn't say who it's from. But I opened the envelope, and it's a picture of Swami wearing a stethoscope. So, there's a black and white photo of Swami actually wearing a stethoscope. You may have seen it. And so I opened the card, and inside the card said, Dear Suresh, Saram Suresh, congratulations on your acceptance to Brown. And this was this East Coast school. And I remember being taken aback and being like, oh my God, okay, this sounds like this is what I should do. This is the school I should go to. So again, impulsive. I call all of my other acceptances right away at that moment and tell them I'm withdrawing my application. Probably the wise thing would have been to really compare each option and think about which of them makes the most sense, etc., etc. Especially because, similar to Duryodhana, the other schools were offering a lot of financial aid and this and that, versus this new school had a good name, but it wasn't much more than that. And but in that moment, I took a leap of faith, and I said, Swami, if you're telling me to go here, I won't ask any questions. Eyes closed, I will go here. The following 5 years changed my life completely. I went from, I met my future wife. I developed an interest in surgery. I found ENT as a specialty. I was, musically, I made a lot of strides, met a lot of new friends, things. Just basically, you take one step, and then he says, okay, then I will take you from here. And just a whole new world opened up because of that one moment of leap of faith. And so that moment has stayed with me as you're in these moments where you don't know what to do, what's the right decision. When Swami gives you a line, if you jump in with both feet, he will take over and he will take you everywhere you need to go. So during medical school, another small scholarship, are we doing okay on time? I want to make sure I'm not. Okay, so in medical school, these are small things that I'm bringing up for the students in the room because this might be something that you can take away. But so there was a competition in school for a music